Good morning. I think this morning we'll talk about correlation and causation. Correlation and causation. So everything is cause and effect, but still, so this is what I was trying to say. I think it was yesterday I was trying to say, that when you come out of default mode network and you spend your time staying present, it's not just for the sake of staying present, but you stay present to play the game. To play the game, yeah, I think that's the main reason I stay present. To play the game. But in order to play the best game, you have to stay very aware for correlation and causation, and also to learn. And also you have to think about everything. You have to be very careful because everybody's trying to indoctrinate everybody. And this is the will to power. This is the will to power. What you see in others, look for yourself first. Maybe I'm as bad, but as I say, this is life. I do these videos, but I'm not really trying to indoctrinate anybody. Sure, I'm not pushing you any particular doctrine. I'm encouraging you to think for yourself. I'm most certainly not pushing an ethical doctrine anyway. That's for sure. But correlation and causation, yeah. So correlation and causation. I don't talk to a lot of people who come through here. I just let them breeze through and all Maria. But there's a woman here the other day, for example, now. And I'm after meeting her in a few hostels. But this is correlation and causation. She's here for a reason. And I listen, Kane is beyond about listen. But I'm telling you now, I don't listen to everyone's shite. Because it's too difficult and too painful to process. So, but to her I listen intently. To her I listen intently. And she was more or less saying she's going to buy me the ticket for Spain, buy me the ticket for Spain, and she was going to say that I worked too hard here. And really what it was reverse psychology for me to think about. Or to agree, but for me to think about and more or less challenge my notion of going to Spain, which she did quite effectively because I decided now I don't want to go to Spain. What the fuck would I want to go and walk the Camino for? Why would I want to go and walk the Camino? But then so then we started to think about reasons for doing things. But for example, so we're here having a chat. There was an Irish fella here the other day. The Irish fella was here as well, so the three of us were here together. And he was telling me about a few retreats he did. He did a retreat in Thailand where they sit for 20 days without talking. And I said, why the fuck would anyone want to sit for 20 days without talking? And then he says it's the quieting them. And I said, it's the quite the monkey. No, but she said, well, why would anyone run a marathon? I said, well, that's a good question. I'll have to think about that. And then I did think about that, and I think, well, it's important that one endures. It's important that one endures, that one is able to endure. This is voluntary suffering. Why did I go and live homeless in Turkey for a whole year? It's voluntary suffering. It's voluntary suffering. It's that one endures, that one learns how to suffer. And one nearly learns to enjoy the suffering. Yes, enjoy the suffering. And face every fear and overcome the suffering. And it's like I say about the gym, that when it changes your association with pain and suffering, and you see it as an opportunity for growth and development, and you embrace the pain and suffering. And that's why people run the marathon consciously or unconsciously. And that's why in Stoicism we have the voluntary discomfort. And for example, for me, the reasons would be ambiguous. I can understand why you would sit for 20 days and not talk. Maybe it would teach me how to listen. But I can actually listen. As I say, I listen intently to her, it's sort of like reading the Bhagavad Gita. For example, then he was talking about there were two of them were talking about sitting in a cave for 3 years, sitting and meditating in a cave for 3 years, no food, no drink, no water. And this sort of does suspend the physics, doesn't it? The laws of physics, doesn't it? Because you know, nothing to eat, nothing to drink, nothing. But this suspends the laws of physics. I think one man did even longer than 3 years, but the 3 years is quite a common one. To sit and meditate in a cave, no food, no water, no fuck all. So that's through the cold, through the heat, through everything, and sit there for 3 years, and you come out there with real long nails and everything. But this sort of suspends the parameters of physics, and makes you think about life outside the parameters of your cognition. So I said, why would anyone want to go and sit in a cave for 3 years? Why would anyone want to go and sit in a cave for 3 years? But I'm just asking. I'm just asking. Why would anyone want to go and sit in a cave for 3 years? And I think about this, and I said to myself, a friend of mine took Xanax for 3 years, and he used to sit with his young lad and watch children's cartoons for 3 years. And he said to me, I'm missing 3 years of my life. He said, I can't remember a fucking thing. He said, I'm missing 3 years of my life. And I was asking, I'm just asking, is that not the same thing? it's the same thing, like. It's a complete suspension of life, if you understand me. Now, I could see that would serve the very same purpose. But for me, I'm struggling with it, because for me it's complete. I can't see the virtue in it. Maybe it's a selfish endeavour, but I can't see how it's beneficial for anybody. And I'm just trying to understand. So then I went on to Robert Greene's fucking page yesterday. Robert Greene is a Western Buddhist, but he'd be the authority on Buddhism, you know. Be the authority on Buddhism, but Jesus, I was sorry I did, because I just went down and said, what virtues in sitting on your hole in a cave for 3 years? Can someone please explain to me? Because if we actually understand what virtue is, but I think it's a rather selfish endeavour. Like, really, like, you know, like you're trying to reach nirvana. Smoke some fucking DMT and you'll have fucking nirvana. I'll tell you that. You will. Because this lady that was here went on the retreat, and she went on the retreat. And she went on the retreat, on whatever, there's a Vendetta, or whatever the fuck it's called, I don't know what the fuck it's called, but 2018. But she said she was sitting there, she'd paying her back and everything, but she said after 4 days, she got this breakthrough, and when we smoke the DMT, you call it breaking through. But she said that whatever it is opens, it opens. After 4 days, she said she has this nirvana. And they were saying to her, no, you can't have it after 4 days. No, it takes much longer than this. It takes years and takes this. But they're just raging jealous, because what they're seeking, she has. And I know she has it. That's why I listened to her. The same as Mr. Nature back in Plovdiv. I listened to him all the time. But we used to be able to communicate with songs. But no one had even, we used to sound like two lunatics. But I tell you, that was wisdom. But if I judged them, there was no learning. But back to this lady. And she was telling me that she had kidney stones at one stage and got a shot of morphine for the kidney stones. And then after the morphine wasn't effective enough for the kidney stones, so she got 2 injections of fentanyl. Yes. That, you know, the one that's 40 times stronger than heroin. Fentanyl. It is fentanyl, yeah. And she said it's very same experience. But she having experienced it before with the fentanyl, it was already open. So she only had to sit for 4 days, much to their fucking envy, I suppose. Because as I say, you know, you can reach this, but the fentanyl, but you can sit in your hole for fucking 20 years if that's what you want to do. Like, it will serve the same purpose. Meditation will break down the default mode network. I'm aware it is, but I suppose there's many ways to climb a mountain. But I think I'd rather take some psychedelics. I'd rather smoke a bit of DMT or something rather than sit in my arse. But I suppose, you know, horses for courses, isn't that it? You know what I mean? Like, as I say, like, you know, I sort of came to the conclusion, well, I know the Buddhists are gods. I know that because we, you know, this is the second rule of dialectics, the interpenetration of opposites, and I know they're gods. Like, they're God's people, like, so they, you know, but then, like, in seeking to understand, I started watching The Midnight Gospel again last night. The Midnight Gospel, it's on Netflix. I've suggested this before, The Midnight Gospel, because it's quite mind-blowing. I was waiting for someone to come back, and I watched the rest of them. But I finished out the rest of my wine last night, and I started watching the Midnight Gospel again. And even that's subject to reason, because you have to correlate what it's teaching you with your own experiences and your own reasoning. And one thing I'm sure of, and that's the importance of music. Music is very important, because there is people like me, and like let's just say like myself and this lady here, and your man. I'm not sure if your man is fully there yet, but basically there's people like us walking around amongst you, but you don't realise it. You're just too busy judging us. But it would be the equivalent of vampires walking like for example, in the Midnight Gospel they talked about like how Eastern traditions seek enlightenment, but they seek enlightenment over a number of lifetimes. So this is a lot of sitting on your arse now. This is a lot of sitting on your fucking arse. So this is they seek enlightenment over a series of lifetimes. Now we could get into what enlightenment is or isn't, but I'm just saying what was in the Midnight Gospel. And they seek enlightenment over a series of lifetimes. And then you have Aleister Crowley. Now Aleister Crowley used to be the sort of the black magic and the occult and all this sort of thing. And he's when you get into this sort of thing, for example, with the DMT and the black magic and everything, it's more or less if you're a demon, basically. Let's cut to the quick. If you're a demon, you can achieve this in one lifetime. Yeah. Suppose you take a shortcut up the mountain, but you can achieve this in. He said people are now achieving it in one lifetime. And this is. And then in the Midnight Gospel, which is very, very good, it was saying about the importance of music. So it's sort of like the Highlander. You can sort of recognise each other. And that's why I listened to this woman here. Now I'm not sure he's quite there yet. Maybe it's to sit in his arse for another few years. But Aleister Crowley in the Egyptian in the Book of the Dead, which is found in one of the tombs, it more or less means coming forth by day. This is the same as vampires, coming forth by day. Yeah, but. I was going to tell you a story, because about correlation, because I was going to tell you about possession. Whenever Beyonce is on stage, you ever see Beyonce live? Fabulous fucking gig. I saw her at Oxygen one time. It was off my knocker on MDMA, but it was a savage gig. Beyonce reckons every time she's on stage, she's possessed. She's part of the Illuminati or whatever it is, but I can explain all that too. I can explain that. That'd be the opposite of Knights Templar. They'd be the Assassin's Creed sort of a thing. But this is, if you notice, they have the Owl of Minerva whenever they have one of their gatherings, that Owl of Minerva. So she's possessed when she's on stage. So I got to thinking about possession. I need to be possessed when I'm doing these videos, for example. That's why I say I'm the devil. But anyway. And I said to myself, am I an avatar? I would be an avatar. This is from the Midnight Gospel, so I would be an avatar. But I said to myself, I was then trying to correlate this to the rest of my life. And I remember I used to ride a motorbike one time. And I wasn't very good at riding the motorbike because my ego exceeded my ability. And that was always a bit of a problem that I always had, the ego exceeding the ability. It's sort of like feeding in the sun chariot, you know what I mean? I used to maybe bite off a little more than I can chew, but I didn't get any lessons in riding the bike, or I didn't ask anybody to show me how to ride the bike. I just used to drive the shit out of it. And I remember I used to go into some turns sometimes. I used to go into some corners sometimes. And I just said to myself, I'm not going to get out of this. I'm not going to get out of this. And I just said, this might just cross my mind. Jesus, I might not get out of this one. And then something used to take over, and I couldn't fucking understand who or what took over. But it was the very same as I was possessed, because something used to take over and drive the bike out of the turn. And it most certainly was not me. And then I used to come out of the turn, and I used to start laughing and nearly crying and everything with this huge, and this was hugely addictive, this feeling. Now, is that nirvana? Is that what they're seeking? Because I can tell you, this was a very near-death experience, but I didn't fear death. But something used to drive the fucking bike out. Until such one day I didn't drive the bike out. And I broke myself up, went out through a concrete fence, and that was an amazing experience. because I used to have a biker jacket with SOS on the back, and the guards came to see me in the hospital, and they said to me, were you going fast? And I said, I'm doing 60. And the guard says, well, you passed a woman on a turn. She said she never saw speed like it in all her life. And I was laughing in the bed because all I could think about was all she'd see is the SOS, save our souls, and the black on the back of the jacket, save our souls. And then when she got around the turn, I was in a hippie shite in the crowd. I may go and make it off this. Bye.